A first-of-a-kind Entrepreneurship Economic Symposium will be hosted in Johannesburg on the 23rd and 24th of October. The benefits that will accrue from this is information sharing in the spirit of creating jobs and growing the economy. Leah, Knott, the MMC for Economic Development in the city of Johannesburg, says the city's approach is to create an enabling environment to support this objective. She joined me in studio.
Well, basically, this comes out of my office directly. It's actually it's not linked to a KPI, for example, a specific target. We just felt that there was a need for us to relook at how we were viewing entrepreneurs and small businesses within the city economy, and look at the policies that relate to them and see how we can better achieve better employment within the city.
Sure.
So we got together, and the director in my office has been very, very busy with this, Colin Masango, and together with our executive director, and they put together a number of summits within the different regions. So we held one within each region within the city of Joburg. And then that will culminate eventually into a symposium at the end of October, where we'll invite 50 entrepreneurs that have attended throughout that to this event. That, however, is not the end of the road, because I hate talk shops, and I know when we first came, they came with this idea, and I thought, oh no, I don't want to do a talk shop. But that's not the plan. The plan is to kind of stop going from a top-down approach in terms of how we implement policy and strategy within the city, and where we're telling people what they need and speaking to them on the ground and going, what is it that you need? How can we assist you? We're not here to create jobs per se, because the city is not the creator of jobs, but we are here to enable the environment, specifically economically, for the creation of jobs. So we need to enable that so that jobs can be created and they can thrive and develop within it. So that was the reasoning behind it.
It's very interesting you should mention that you don't want it to be another talk shop, and
Yes.
it's interesting your approach to this symposium as well. But I wonder what would be the target? What is the perceived target, the outreach that you've been driving so far? How will that impact on the Metro's overall vision to boost more entrepreneur participation in the local economy? What is the target?
Well, basically, from what I've seen, is that we operate everything in boxes, if you will. So we have our Joburg Business Forum over here. We have our SMME hubs over here. We've got, entrepreneurial programs, etc. over here. Then we run different things with universities, etc. But none of them talk to each other. So it's almost like we're creating the facilitation for people, but if they don't network and if there's no communication, then they can't actually grow and utilize any of the tools that we've given them. So along with this is we've also approached the Joburg Business Forum in becoming more regionalized, so that we have specific sort of sector groups or regional groups throughout the city that will then talk to a main group at the top. Because a lot of the problems is when you go into an area and you try and create investments and things like that, you come up against a lot of brick walls or what's the word, conflict almost with the community, because they haven't been liaised with previously, or they don't know what's going on. And it's very simple. It's go into a region, go into a ward or an area, speak to them about what it is they need, because each region is specific in terms of the sectors that they dominate in. Some are dominant in tourism, others are in manufacturing, some are in construction. I mean, if you look at the sort of outer reaches of the West Rand compared to more of the inner city areas. So when you go down to that level and you involve them, particularly the sort of marginalized groups, female entrepreneurs, cooperatives, etc., and you actually give credence to them and their ideas, and you allow them to operate in the same networks and platforms as the bigger businesses, you help them to develop, and not only from just giving them that platform, but from a mentorship point of view, because they can also learn a lot from being integrated with these other entities and individuals. So that's the idea, and we're hoping that the SMME hubs, which operate on a regional level, and we're actually hoping to implement 5 additional ones, that these will then also come into it, along with the chambers of commerce, because they are also, within their particular regions, they're dominant and they know the area, they know business, they know how to capacitate people. So we're hoping that on all these levels we can put them on a regional basis that'll eventually have sort of a city-wide basis. But at the moment, our JBF, for example, has, I think, 150 people on its email list.
Sure.
Which to me is no way indicative of the amount of people willing to do business within the city. So how do you know that you're getting the right, sort of variety of ideas and innovation and assistance if we're not speaking to everybody.
Absolutely. So this, from what I hear, is the first of its kind in Johannesburg in terms of approach?
Yes, yeah. And I think it's important because you can't get buy-in into an idea. I'm one person, for example, I have an office, of people and so on and so forth, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I work in government.
Sure.
So, and a lot of my staff as well, some of them, I think do own their own businesses or do own their own businesses, but the bottom line is you cannot then sort of dictate to people how they should be running their businesses. What they should be doing is coming to you and saying, this is what I do. This is how I need you to help me. Then we can go, well, this is how we can capacitate you, whether it be skills, mentorship, development, or whatever it is, and put them onto the right track. And along with the symposium, they've given them a list of a lot of different entities that can assist them in a wide range of things, from finance to skills to artisan training, and hopefully, get everybody talking to each other so that we can get something that works.
It certainly comes across as being very inspiring for young entrepreneurs in Johannesburg, but I suppose the challenge will be around implementation to see how it all comes together.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it is going to be a bit difficult, and I don't think it's going to be an overnight success. But we had today, for example, I was in Soweto. I was absolutely blown away by the passion there. These people, they just want to work, they want to create, they want to innovate, they want to do things. And, if I had the power, I'd just, and the sort of finances, I'd give them everything that they could to do it. But that's not the reality. We had a young lady who stood up, and I apologize if I get her name wrong, I think it was Musimane.
Okay.
And she was a graduate, and she said, well, all these sort of, older generation people within our community have got businesses and that, but because, of sort of, our past history and that, and they didn't have the
capacity, skills,
and the ability to get the education that they deserved at the time, which is a real problem.
Sure.
And she was saying, well, we don't have the experience, so partner with us. We'll give you our skills as graduates on business plans, on registering your companies, on going to SARS and doing tax returns, and you can assist us with the experience, because people won't hire us and they won't take us seriously because we're young, because we don't have experience. So, that to me was a very interesting idea on how to kind of try and correct the imbalances that we're seeing. And hopefully we can create a model with their assistance that can better speak towards entrepreneurship in the city and better capacitate them to develop and grow.
It's very interesting that you brought up the issue around skills and experience, because I think the biggest challenge right now in the city is to actually empower the youth. Unemployment is so high at the moment in South Africa. How will this program actually looks at dealing with the issue of youth development, preparing them for jobs, preparing them as potential entrepreneurs?
It's a bit of a difficult one, and I think again we need to formulate a proper policy towards addressing that. But we're hoping that this initial introduction will assist us in understanding the challenges that they face, because I was 18 once. I'm no longer that, and I always say, somebody asked me the other day, why, if you don't understand what entrepreneurs need, then you actually by now you're wasting your time. And I said, but 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what they needed is completely different. You've got a whole new sort of technological generation that are coming out now. So you have to keep going back to the drawing board to address the changes that are happening, over time. And hopefully understanding from them, because what it was a challenge to me when I finished school in 2000, for example, is not the same challenges they're having now. So we're hoping to get them on board, and this idea particularly grabbed my attention, because it was a very interesting way of perhaps we need to start mixing graduates and establish sort of SMMEs so that we can capacitate them in both ways. And I think on a regional level, if we open up our particularly our business forums to these youth to engage in, because a lot of them are members of cooperatives or certain forums that they run, but they just have nowhere to have their needs addressed. And they've got ideas. I mean, some of them are absolutely brilliant. Sometimes I wonder, how are these guys not living in mansions and, wherever, but, because their ideas are so good. So we just need to give them the platform and the networks.
To develop that.
Yeah, and to be able to give it out to people. And I think it's important that we take that seriously.